Okay, my name is Jay Durrah. I call myself a modern day impressionist artist. I've been painting for over 40 something years. I don't have a degree in art, but I don't want to say I'm self-taught, but I don't have formal training. But I've been painting for over 40 something years. I graduated of Howard University, but I graduated with a political science degree. Art was just a hobby at the time. I ended up working in telecom for years, and I didn't get into my art until I got laid off from Verizon in 2009. And that's when I got more consistent with my art. It would just nag me because I would, especially when I went to other shows and I would see other artists doing their work, and I was like, I could be doing this, and why aren't I doing it? I remember I used to go to art festivals. I would always see Pancho, and I would always ask him, how do you find the time to do this? And he would say, you got to find it. And it was just something I had to do. And so when I got laid off, it was something that I devoted my life to. But I kind of realized that it was more than just a hobby when people could recognize who, like if I was drawing a picture of Stevie Wonder, somebody could recognize, they could say, oh, Stevie Wonder, So I was like, well, it's more than just me scribbling on a piece of paper.
So you knew something was there after, like, when did you realize there was something there?
Okay, I probably was a kid. I was, first my grandfather used to encourage me because you remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember the TV Guide. But we used to get the TV Guide, and there used to be a little cartoon in there. If you can draw this, you too can be an artist. It was like a little squirrel or something like that. And I would always draw those, and my grandfather recognized that I had the skill. And then one time, I think I was maybe about 13 or 14, when the Songs in the Key of Life came out, Stevie Wonder's album, I drew a picture of Stevie Wonder on my bedroom wall. And my mother wasn't upset. So I was able to keep that on my wall. So, and then I think in high school I may have taken some art classes or something like that. And I think in my senior year I did a couple paintings that were really nice. Well, I did, although I don't have a degree in art, I'd taken classes here and there. So I think in the 90s I was taking some classes at the Corcoran Art School, and we had to do paintings. I think it was a watercolor class, but we couldn't use natural skin tone colors. We could only use like primary colors. So that kind of put it in me that I don't need to use natural skin tone colors. And then I also realized then that colors have values, like you have dark colors, mid colors, and light colors. And that's really all you need to create a piece. And also what reminded me of this, I realized when, like in TVs and computers and everything, pixels are nothing but colors, different colors that they throw together to create an image. And it looks natural, but it's just a whole bunch of colors. So that's where I got the idea of using different colors and non-skin tone colors.
You mentioned this off camera.
Okay.
Right? What was that moment when you had your first piece sold and it was just like, wow, like this is no longer a hobby?
Okay. So I was doing a street fair in Hyattsville. It was, I think, this Hyattsville Art Festival. And this was probably like 2011, 2012, something like that. I think 2011, 2010 maybe. But I was set up. I had some of my original pieces there. And this brother, it looked like he just came from the gym or something. He kept walking by. He'll stop. He'll look. Wasn't saying nothing, but he walked by about 3 or 4 times. Then maybe the 4th time he said, I want it. And I was like, what? I was like, you. I said, oh, okay. and I'm like, what I do? What I do now? I have to wrap it up and get his money and all that. But it was a remarkable feeling.
Do you remember what the painting was about?
Yeah, it was. I did. So the first, when I was coming up with the style, I did this piece called Multicolored Man, and it's I used instead of doing like just a stroke, I actually would paint like a rectangle I was painting rectangles, but it was a face, and then there was like a gray figure behind the face. But it was talking about how we're made up of different nationalities. The colors represented multiple nationalities, but we're all human. We're more alike than we are different. That was kind of the purpose of the painting. But it was multicolored, man. Right. So first of all, yeah, I love old black and white photos, and I always imagine how life must have been in those days. But what I noticed in the photos, most of the photos, people were dressed to the nines. I mean, and it was to combat like negative stereotypes that we had in society. So, and I would also mention that when I was a kid, and my grandparents would take us shopping, we had to put on a Sunday best to go shopping. But I guess to show that we belong someplace, and that was a feeling that I guess our ancestors had. They had to show that they belonged, at least by the way they looked. So that was something that that was a value they implanted in us, to look presentable and look like you belong. So, well, I think maybe as a people, I don't think we weren't in a position to be collectors. We're trying to get fair housing, and once we get fair housing, then we have to determine what we're going to put on the walls, and we don't want to put. We don't necessarily want to put images of other people on our walls. We're going to have a picture. Back in the day, they may have a picture of Jesus Christ on the wall and Martin Luther King, but I think that opened up once we got fair housing and people were able to live where they want to live, or buy houses or get loans for houses. That kind of started to open up the market for us for painters to create images that people want to put on the walls. And I think that's people want images on the walls to represent them. So I think that was one of the keys. That once we're able to make better incomes and afford better art, then that's when it opened up a market for African American artists.
I wasn't even expecting that answer, and that was a great answer, bro. That's a fantastic answer.
Okay. Well, I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I'm getting older, but I was put on earth for a purpose, and art was my purpose. And so I'm just I really want to take it as far as I can before it's over. Pretty much, so.
Leave a legacy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Dr. Wright and hosting this opportunity to discuss your work and meeting someone like her who is a educated collector who could then sew into you and vice versa.
First of all, it was a very invaluable webinar that she had last week about collecting, and I gained so much information from that. And it's people like her that really advance our careers as artists, and she explained how that happens too, how collectors think it's provenance, how just being able to list or be collected by certain people or collectors, it really helps her career, and I value that. And it was just her knowledge about the art world, and I'm so grateful that she's going to be an appraiser, so that we can work with her to get some great appraisals also, and to teach us how to get into that get into the secondary markets and things like that. It was so much information that she shared with us. It was great.
I love it. I want to ask you a similar question that I asked the first artist: is what should people respect about your process, and what do people underestimate about your process?
They should respect that it's not. I could probably create images a lot quicker if I didn't do so many colors, or if I was just drawing, or if I would just stick with certain colors. But just to understand color combinations, it's something that they should appreciate. Underestimate. I don't know. I guess again the time it takes to create a piece. Yeah, and also the value that I put on the piece. You know, I think people should. You should respect the value that I put on the piece. And it kind of just recently, I experienced where there's somebody. Well, there's certain people they feel like they should get a discount on everything.
All right, you got a lot.
And
It's me out.
right, yeah,
My
yeah,
babe.
right. But they don't understand. I mean, they underestimate the what that does to the art. Because I mean, one thing they talked about last week on the webinars is that we need to stay consistent in our prices. But when you have people trying to get discounts all the time, it really kind of throws a monkey wrench in our plans and on our trajectory of trying to create more value for our pieces. So did I tell you the name of the piece?
No, go ahead. Tell us the name of the piece.
It's called Double-Breasted Brothers. And actually, growing up, my favorite suits were double-breasted suits, and I'm so glad they came back in. The double-breasted jacket came back in, but that's when I saw that photo. That's when I really felt I had to paint that because that again that was my favorite type of suit, double-breasted, and I really liked the double-breasted suits with the baggy pants too. Back in the day, I used to dress like that when I was in college. Yeah. Yeah, and again, it just shows it made us feel better back in those days when we got dressed up. I mean, dealing with everything else that we're dealing with in society, when we could put on some clothes and have other people admire us, that was very valuable. So I want my pieces to be collected by museums. I want to see the world. I want my pieces to take me around the world. But and I want to be, and there's some galleries that I want to get into. I've been trying to get into certain galleries. I want to be represented by certain galleries, but the main I want to be represented by certain galleries to get into museums because I understand certain museums they use certain galleries to get in museums. But I guess it's part of my legacy that I want to create.
More wine, more cheese.
Yes, and I can be reached at I have a website. It's jdurrahsart.com, and I'm on Instagram under j_Durrah, and I'm on Facebook under jdurrahsart.
And just anything from the heart, man, that you want to say before you sign off.
Okay, I appreciate this period here. I generally don't like doing interviews, but this was very comfortable, and I appreciate the questions, and I appreciate the invite to be a part of this.